Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Football Uncensored podcast. We've had a little bit of a break, winter break, call it what you like. Work break, really, for John, being December and his trade been a bit busy. Probably understatement of the year, John, isn't it?
Yeah, well, not as busy as I would have liked, but I can't do the long shifts anymore. Yeah, no, I know what you mean though. Yeah, but I've really and truly I'm cream cracker now because I work between Christmas and New Year, New Year's Eve, and then to be fair, I should have gone out yesterday, but yeah. So happy New Year to you and to everybody, and a healthy one. That's the main priority. And
Absolutely.
anything else is a bonus.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's good sentiment to start the year with, I think. Um, Obviously, we've missed a fair bit of football, busy Christmas period and all that. We're not going to be able to cover everything in in one session, so we'll try and pick out a few bits. Um, Liverpool top of the league. Let's start with a positive for us, a positive for you really. You picked them early doors at the start of the season to be main challengers to City, and whatever other results may have occurred, Liverpool currently sit top.
Yeah, I felt like all the other distractions and all that international players, which in the top sides, more or less, the whole squad, they've got to be of international quality. I remember that being said a long time ago by an ex-acquaintance of mine who was working at Arsenal. Um, and it's quite true. But then when you look at all the travelling and the World Club Championships and all that carry on, I thought to myself that might get in the way a little bit for City, but then like the new year as they turn into the home straight, they normally turn it on. So we'll see. We just have to wait and see whether Liverpool can hold on or not. You know what I mean? It makes for a more interesting Premier though when there's like three or four in the mix.
Oh, it definitely is.
Arsenal still in there, aren't they? You know what I mean? They're still in there a little bit. Spurs, they've turned it back round after I think they had three on the spin where they couldn't get a result. Villa, bit of an unexpected, bit of a surprise. Yeah, so it's good. It's a bit more competitive this year, it would seem.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's about, well, I haven't got it directly in front of me, but I think there's probably about 4 points between the top four, possibly. I think it's Liverpool, City, Villa, Arsenal, possibly, but very close, like you say. Arsenal had a bit of a blip. I think they've lost three of their last five.
Yeah,
Spurs turned it back round again, like you say. I think they've won four of their last five to spin it back round.
yeah,
City obviously won at the weekend to a bit of a workmanlike performance. Going back to City, you mentioned the World Club and obviously had Champions League qualification and that, and the pressure's always on them to be, the club that wins it because they because they do keep winning it, not for no other reason. But they seem to have struggled a little bit recently. Defense not as tight. Obviously, Haaland had a bit of an injury. Is there anything major that you think you can put your finger on for City, or is it just the fact that they've had a little bit of a flat spell?
yeah. Well, I'll be honest with you. I think they've just got to be careful. Not to be maybe the manager I'm thinking of, and which can happen. Um, Too clever for your own good. Whether it's been dictated to by the injury situation or not, I don't know. But it's and I don't even know if I'm right or wrong in terms of everything is about consistency, Rob, and that includes selection. Yeah, obviously you're gonna end up normally you end up where your budget allows you to end up, even down into the football league. And if you've got the budget and you can buy, two for one position, and they're both international class, and you can rotate, etc. And they're very very cerebral, and they've got high football IQ, and you can keep changing it to keep the opposition guessing. That's fine, but at the same time, I still think you need a bit of consistency where the selection's concerned to get the consistency in results. It goes without saying they've missed Haaland. Funny enough, today I was reading an article, two articles of where I've been playing catch up with different newspapers, and in one of them, it reminded me a lot of my brief tenure where I always maintained you need a goal scorer at the club. So my brief tenure as a coach and a manager, and also what I experienced as a player, at two, maybe three out of the four clubs I played for, and then one of them we managed to remedy it latter day at Leighton Orient, whereby you need a goal scorer, because if you've got, he said in the article, if you've got a goal scorer, you've always got a chance, and there's times when you might not play so well. You don't have to play well to win the game. And I remember that being the case when I was an apprentice watching the Eddie McCready promotion side with someone that actually I've been speaking to recently, Stevie Finiston, one of the best finishers I've ever seen in me playing or coaching career. You know what I mean? Reminded you of the old school people like Clive Allen, Jimmy Greaves, people like just passed it into the net, very rarely blasted it. Very crafty, very clever, very cunning, great technique. Anyway, sticking to the point, when you've got a goal scorer, you've always got a chance of a result, which is what I was always harping on about, sometimes as a player, but in particular as a coach or a manager. I just think like the main point being, I think, although that's their hand's been forced with that, and he is a good deputy. Is it Alvarez? I just think
Alvarez,
like
yeah.
Consistency in selection. You know, I mean, normally they say, I mean, Rodri's back. He's buzzing again.
He's the key for me, John Rodri. I think, or
Yeah, I
one
mean,
of the biggest keys.
when you're looking at some of the other clubs, in particular, my old club, you know, sort of digressing ever so slightly, I just think it's crying out for it at Chelsea. You know what I mean? Maybe they've made a ricket letting one of the holding midfield players go. The one they let go to the Arsenal. Although at the time I thought it was probably a good bit of business, but it's crying out for it. I mean, yeah, going off at a tangent ever so slightly, that's become such an important role in the game now. And I think Chelsea are distinctly lacking it. And when I see some of the defending and the way they're set up, with the games they've played, all right, they've nicked a couple of results, but it's more by hook and crook than basically you know, a very profound professional polished performance, because they've been found wanting, especially when like Luton nearly pulled it back. But yeah, I mean, it's an important role that where they screen the back four and maybe kill it at source, and then it encourages, which Chelsea don't seem to have. They seem to be, when I was watching the thing the other day, like three separate units, and then the ball popped out on the edge of the box, and it was like bump bump, and they got done on the break, and then it looked like they've recovered. The centre back, I think Silver has a go. Maybe there's a language barrier, but he looks to be the only one leader that they've got at the back, and he sort of tends to lead by example rather than communication and bossing and organising. I think Gallagher's having a go, but they look like three separate units. It looks like they really needs drilling. It really needs working on their shape and all the sort of the what ifs. You know what I mean? So you try and cater for the worst case scenario.
Go back to the linking in the Arsenal and the need for a goal scorer. One of the more well-known pundits on a certain channel, I can't say his name because I can't stand him for what he did, and then got reinstated afterwards. You'll figure it out, I'd imagine.
You already have. Yeah, I know. I'll get you. Yeah.
He said that's what Arsenal. That is what's going to cost Arsenal the lack of a goal scorer and the lack of a world-class forward line. Saying I think he was comparing them to Liverpool, shock horror, yeah, and their front three. But
yeah,
do you think that's a weakness for the Arsenal?
Possibly, yeah, possibly. He's only just come back in really for a few games, and Jesus, in terms of like, all right, not really in as in he's your mainstay, but his recovery from injury, from when he had his injury. So that's going to take a bit of time to integrate back in and find a bit of form. Although he did seem to hit the ground running ever so slightly. But yeah, I mean, I think it's a fair point. And not only that, like the other ones you're talking about, Liverpool, they've got a massive goal threat from right across the pitch in terms of their front three. Also, one of the fullbacks with regards to his dead ball, his set pieces, and getting involved in combination play on the edge of the box. And he's a good striker of a ball. And a couple of the midfield players, they'll pitch in. So, yeah, it's a massive thing in the game. A lot always maintained. I mean, I was only a novice at like 30, 33, 34 when I was youth coach, first team coach, but I always maintained a goal threat from as many positions as possible is absolutely paramount importance. And I think that goes for a few clubs. It's funny. I was reading a third article today.
A lot of reading today.
I've done a lot of reading this afternoon. I did, yeah. But I mean, which I tend to do when I don't go into work. You know what I mean? So like, you find time for other things. You get a few jobs out of the way. And I was shocked at where it was. I mean, you don't know how true it is, but one of the big clubs bought a player, and the coaches had never heard of him. I'm not going to mention the club or the name, only the fee. They paid 80 million for a forward. And with all the scouting, beg your pardon, the scouts, with all the scouting reports and the coaches, and they'd never heard of the guy. So you know, the point I think I'm trying to make the point whereby you do need the established goal scoring threat at the pinnacle of the game. You know what I mean? It's if you're going to challenge for honours. Some clubs have got it in abundance. Other clubs, they rely on one or two. I think probably Arsenal fall into that category. They rely on one or two. You might get the odd one from Odegaard, the wide players, Saka, or the other side. Yeah, but that's about it, really. I mean, you know, I mean, they're like gold dust, aren't they?
Yeah.
But in saying that, I think it's just as important. What I said, I think it's just I maintained, I think early in one of the earlier podcasts, I still think they're vulnerable at the back, and I think it's been very much the case lately. Just
Arsenal, you talk about?
Arsenal, yeah. I always maintain they're still very vulnerable at the back, and you've got to just try and address. You've got to try and know what you need to address, what areas, and then get it done, get the business done. That's where he did well when he first came in, Klopp, wasn't it?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's very much the case. They can't keep chopping and changing and, well, let's try this one, let's try this one, let's try this. You've got to go quality assurance, worth the money if you can. I think a lot of the fees are unfounded, totally extortionate, totally unreasonable. And then all of a sudden, lo and behold, I'm reading this thing today about all these flops, so-called in inverted commas. And this was just one in a number of players they'd paid 80 million for him, and been a bit of a disappointment. But it was no surprise in the end because no one had heard of him. Yeah.
I mean, I think I'm sure it's an American term. I'm sure it was by a famous American football coach, and he coined the phrase where we're talking about goal scoring and defending. I think he said, offense wins you games, but defense is what wins you championships. Excuse my Americanisms there, but in other words, to relate it to us, obviously, goals win you games, but the defense wins you the championship. Do you think that's...
Yeah, I do, yeah. I think it's a fair way of putting it, and I think it's always been very undersold, underrated, underpraised, and but for the odd few, who really sort of put great attention to detail with it. It's bypassed a lot of the others because it's been a case of, well, hopefully we will score more goals than you. And you know, I just think it's imperative to set up. I'm sure they do. You look at.
I'm sure they do.
I mean, but it don't reflect it in when you see goals conceded. It don't reflect it, and you can only go so long. Like, I was tearing what was at the time a good head of air out, where you know, you're looking at all the the individual mistakes that lead, you know, so it stops you getting a point or sometimes even 3 points away from home. You can only go so long, and I just think at the highest level, with regards to the money side of it, I don't think you should tolerate for too long, too many or as many as they do individual mistakes on a long-term basis, medium and long-term basis. You've got to plan. Yeah, for my opinion only, you've got to plan 3 ways. You've got to plan short-term, medium-term, long-term. If you've got someone in, right, and then over that second and third phase, they continue to make basic mistakes or their game isn't improving, and they just treat the profession as a byproduct of their social life, then, you know, I'm sorry, you've got to start to question things and have a change round.
Yeah.
I think
Just,
it's costing too many top clubs too many results from what I can see.
I think there's definitely, it definitely seems to be. I'm sure someone's got the stats somewhere. It definitely seems to be less and less clean sheets this season compared to seasons past, and some of the known defences seem to be conceding more and more. I've literally just watched West Ham Brighton, and you made the point about consistency of selection. And Brighton, I think the stat popped out. Apologies, I can't remember the number. They've changed their starting 11 literally every game, and they've made more than, I think they've made way more changes per game than everyone else this season. And I think they're down to one fit centre half after today's game, and they've just kept their first clean sheet. So
Ironic,
go
isn't it?
figure.
Yeah, that's the exception to the rule. Yeah. Or not, as the case may be, because what it might be a case of someone running it how it should be run. I don't know. It sounds like a little bit grandstanding. It's being like grandiose about it.
It's your podcast,
When
so
you
why shouldn't you?
listen, when you put sessions on and you're doing a squad thing, everybody should know if they come into the side exactly what you're doing, exactly what your role is. So by that word, but what I mean by that is you like replicate sessions, or you do sessions where you'll have maybe your first choice, and then you'll have a ghost 11 following in behind that, going for exactly the same drills, going for exactly the same patterns of play, exactly the same defensive strategy, exactly the same set pieces, exactly the same throw-ins, exactly the same finishing drills, exactly the same combination play drills in different thirds of the pitch, if you like. Now, it would be more the case now, so that anyone comes into the side, ideally they slip seamlessly in and you don't notice a difference.
Yeah, that does seem to be the case at Brighton. Somewhere it doesn't really seem to be the case at is Man United. One point I was going to raise. Pardon me. There's only been 2 dismissals in the Premier League this season so far, anyway, which by the turn of the year is, I'd say, quite unusual. And that was obviously Sheffield United and Nottingham Forest. There's been a bit of talk. It's paper talk, lazy journalism, quite possibly, but you never know that certain managers' jobs are they might be looking over their shoulder, and Ten Hag at United comes up a fair bit.
Yeah,
but they do seem to be a team that's, for whatever reason, seem to be struggling to know what they're doing, which is quite an amazing statement, I think. Admittedly,
yeah.
to my lesser trained eyes, I'm not.
Yeah, no, I think
I've never been a coach or a player.
I think honestly, I think it's a valid point. He would probably be one of the ones, but then it begs the question: who would they get in?
Oh,
You know, what I mean, it's part of what I was reading today. You know, you're talking serial winners in Mourinho and Van Gaal.
yeah.
Out of all of them, Van Gaal, Moyes, Solskjaer, Mourinho. I'm pretty sure. I think I'm right in saying he had the highest win rate. There's only like 1% between the 4 of them, something like that. Something like 53 point something percent win rate. 2 trophies, Europa League and League Cup. And he couldn't make it work. What I see there is what I think I see is depends what United turn up. I see like a very fragmented mentality, fragmented side, to maybe too much experimentation with regards to positions. Bad luck with injuries, players written off, and they've become second or third choice like Maguire. If everyone's fully fit, a decent spine. I think they let a good goalkeeper go. I don't think the one they've brought in is much better. If anything, he makes a meal of stuff that I was always like watching sessions and then led to believe by certain coaches who were putting the sessions on that a good goalkeeper would make the difficult look easy. And yet he'll have stuff within that radius when you put your arms out, within that radius of your arm's reach, of your arm's length for your reach either side. He turns it into a dive and then you've got the theory with regards to he might have been better with his feet. I don't know, is he? Because I'm seeing more and more cock-ups from goalkeepers, most noticeably this weekend. I can never get my around if you're going to play out from the back.
I thought that might come up.
Well, yeah, there was a thing. If you're gonna play, there was a saying: you play it on the right side, which is the outside. You know what I mean? The shortest route to goal is down the middle. And yet, see 2 goals where the goalkeeper's giving it away and he's trying to punch it in right down the middle, and it's been intercepted and bump, and it ends up in the back of the net. At least get it across your body or take it across your body that way. Just chop it offline and pass around the outside, or chop it off and pass it around the outside. So if it gets intercepted, there is at least some chance of a recovery run and a last-ditch tackle. But sticking to United very quickly, you go up the middle. I don't think they know whether they're coming or going with regards to what their best midfield, what their best centre-back partnership is, what their best midfield is. The other guy they give, was it 72 million? I think he got his first goal the other week, and even one of someone who played with him, so someone who played with him before, just said he's very quick and very aggressive. Normally, if you've played with someone and you know someone that really that well, and they've got more assets than that, you would be, I would think, a little bit more complimentary than just saying, unless he was trying to be ultra cute and play it down, hoping that he'd hit the ground running and take off, by being understated. I don't know.
Possibly.
I don't know if the person being interviewed was that clever. If he is, hats off to him. You know what I mean? So he's not warning anybody, but he just said he's quick and aggressive. And so it's come to pass. I think he's got his first goal the other week.
Yeah. I mean, I was sticking with the reading, just touch on the reading theme. I'll go back to United in a sec, but I've been reading a few things over the last couple of weeks. I like to read a few of the papers, not all of them, it's fair to say, but you're saying there, the pundit or the journo, whoever it was, said Højlund was quick and aggressive. Don't mean he's obviously quite a good footballer, otherwise he wouldn't be where he is. But it's all relative. It was Michael Owen I was reading, and he said years ago you had to be. The gist of what he was saying, I'm paraphrasing hugely, was years ago you had to be a good footballer first and foremost. Whereas these days, if you're a good athlete and you can run fast and you're strong and aggressive, that seems to be more the primary concern for a lot of clubs, which is a bit of a sad indictment, I think.
I couldn't agree more. I think he's spot on. I think he's 100% spot on. And it seems to be very much the case, because you think, I look at a lot of players and I think, well, what else are they bringing to the party? But, in every division, what's the highlights of the Premier League? What's the highlights of the Football League? You look at different players, you look at different compartments in the team, whether it's the front, whether it's the midfield, whether it's the back. And you just think, you're looking at it, well, what are they bringing to the party apart from all the so-called assets that you've just listed? Because that doesn't seem to be very much grey matter applied. And you can make, if you do apply the grey matter. I was asked a question. I've done an evening with, and then there was someone put the feelers out who hosted it. Adrian Durham hosted it. He put the feelers out to some ex-colleagues, and one of the questions an ex-colleague asked, do you think in today's game, the the likes of you and myself would have, I ain't going to name the player, but he said, do you think the likes of you and myself would have survived in today's game in terms of our approach? And I just think you adapt. You'll always be what you'll always be. There, what I was in the end when I grew up. After when I look at the defending at Chelsea now, it's laughable. So I just had, unfortunately, I played. I must have played to a tough crowd. Put it that way. Like I said before, and I didn't need to be told. I knew myself for 2 games where I let myself down, 2 games where I was poor, out of 14. But you know, they told you in no uncertain terms. So the point being, when you grow up, you find ways of making the game easier for yourself just by communicating and bossing and organising. And I think it's sadly lacking. You know what I mean? People playing with a bit of that instead of the things that he's listed. And I think it couldn't be any more spot on. I think it's 100% spot on.
Another point you've raised about the keepers and the playing out from the back, and it's where it's so on vogue. I watched Match of the Day 2 this afternoon. They had Paul Robinson on, ex-England, Leeds, Blackburn as well, I think. He was one of the studio pundits, and they were analysing Bournemouth game. And I thought Robinson dissected it pretty well. And his point was the Bournemouth keeper picked the wrong option from about 6 or 7 options from the balls at his feet, and it cost Bournemouth one of the goals. And his point was, is he doing that because he's been told that's what you have to do no matter what, and he's just obeying the coach, and he's just picked the wrong option because he didn't have the grey matter? He was saying
I don't believe that. I don't believe
keepers
that.
should still be allowed to make their own decisions.
Yeah, well, they should be. Yeah. I think there's an element of truth to both. I don't believe that. When I look at the way the game's gone as well, I honestly don't believe that most players, not all players, most players are that coach reliant, whereby they can't think for themselves. I mean, the other kid, I know of him, and I saw him play. The other kid, I'm not so familiar with. I thought in the studio he was, because I saw it when it was done on Sunday night.
Nedemanua.
Yeah, but who did
defender.
He play for?
He's the Match of the Day 2, aren't you? Where he was on with Robinson.
Yeah.
Nedemanua, excuse pronunciation. I think he used to play for City, QPR, fairly contemporary.
Okay. Right. Yeah. I just thought he played devil's advocate to the point of almost winding Robinson up.
He did, yeah. I thought
that. Whereas he should have come down on one side or the other, and I'll come down on the side of Robinson, whereby I don't think any player is that coach reliant, and that brainwash whereby they have to, under whatever the circumstances, have to play out. And then if that's the case, it's purely down to his selection. You know, because the other guy said, well, maybe I agree with you a little bit. It was his technique that let him down. Well, it weren't. He played the wrong ball. Any moron knows that the shortest route from A to B is a straight line. On a football field, the shortest route and a straight line is down the middle of the pitch. You know, I mean, that's why I said about playing it on the right side, the outside. So he could, if he, and they should be, you know, I made myself that way, that you should be 2-footed. And if a goalkeeper's not 2-footed, then he's struggling big time, isn't he? And if they do play it down the right side, which is the outside, but they can only use their right foot, then what you do as a forward, you just bend your run in and make play predictable, which is the one of the first rules of defending, to make play predictable. You bend your run in, force him on his right foot, and then everyone behind you know it's only coming down that side. What I'm saying is you should be able to take it offline across your body and play it that way out towards your left, or that across your body out that way towards your right. One thing you don't do is try and ping a ball, which is it's a fullback or a centre-back's ball, into a midfield player, ping a ball just skimming the top of the turf or just off the turf down the middle. It gets cut out, gets pinched, bomb, it's in the back of the net.
That's exactly what he did, wasn't it? The ball,
if you're in any doubt, you get it out your feet and stand it up. You stand it up. What we used to say, stand it up, and it put a bit of height on it.
Just something you said there, just quick. That's something that's never ceased to amaze me about professional footballers, that they can't kick with both feet. It's just blows my mind.
Yeah. I
Just
agree.
absolutely blows my mind. But
Especially the way it's meant to have become more sophisticated. What's more sophisticated is the stuff that causes the sophistication, which is basically the passing and movement, and the passing and movement involves being fitter and stronger and able to go longer. That's all that involves. So in effect, what it boils down to is, as long as you can perform the basics, right? And this is might be a revelation to some people. As long as you perform the basics, which is to be able to control and pass the ball, get your head up and pass the ball. Basically, as long as you're fit and strong and quick, then you can subscribe to the passing and movement that the so-called coaches put on. You know what I mean? But I just see concentrated on one half of the game. They're trying to parody a coach who's done it at every club he's been at. So he's been working at it over 30 years. And they think they can basically plagiarize it within a season. And you can't. Plus, you've got to have the players. So,
well, yeah,
I agree with Paul Robinson.
yeah, I did. I thought he analysed it quite well. So I enjoyed match of the day too
Yeah.
today. Bournemouth, funny enough, just underlying Bournemouth and Man United. With Man United, I watched them get absolutely taken apart by Bournemouth the other week, a couple of weeks ago, and then I think the next game or the game after, you kind of lose track with the Christmas fixtures. They got battered by Villa in the first half, and then turned it around and destroyed them in the second half and won 3-2. And then, you know, what, like you said, what United is going to turn up, what they're going to do next week. So, who knows?
The key,
And Bournemouth,
the key, is consistency.
mm,
And you're only going to get that from being a committed professional. When I think it's very fragmented there. I see it, and you get different things coming out. It can only be speculation because no one really knows what's going on behind the scenes. And if they do, they shouldn't be grassing it to the media or
no,
outlets. You know what I mean? If you're part of a club, you're part of a staff, you shouldn't be grassing it out. And letting on what's going on because I think a couple of weeks ago they were saying there was a divided dressing room and they weren't happy with the way the manager was running things. Well,
mm,
from what I can see of it, he's got plenty of help behind him. Maybe delegate more, maybe spend less time with them. But one thing they've got to do is get some consistency in what they're doing. And I just think they've had their pants pulled down too many times. They're very similar to a couple of other clubs, mainly Chelsea, with regards to the amount of money they've laid out on transfers. Some of them are not what would someone like Sir Alex Ferguson he'd call United standard, you know, the standard we expect at that club.
I'll take the keepers. We're talking about the keepers. You were comparing Anana, who's there now, and De Gea, who's been there for years and they let go. So who's better? Not, I don't think there's a lot between them. Probably De Gea is the better keeper. So they let him go for free and they pay, I don't know, what, 40, 50, 60 for the new one.
Yeah.
But
It defies common sense to me. It's like Chelsea did with the record signing 72 million they give for their keeper, didn't they, a little while back?
yeah, forgotten about him.
Yeah.
I
So
think he's on loan in Spain somewhere, isn't he? I'm not sure.
Yeah. So dismal failure. Yeah. You got. It's like I said when you look around these places, you think something like Chelsea done. I don't know what is it now, 600 million plus. Whoever's involved really don't deal with them anymore. And if they're on the staff, sack them, get rid of them because they clearly they've overestimated, you know, their own importance and they don't really know what they're looking at, and they've overestimated the purchases. You know,
Yeah,
and if they say it's the going rate, what they're doing is they're cashing in on a situation whereby one, is it a new owner who's spending money like confetti, and or two, how desperate are they? So it's like they're probably 20% goes on because it's a new owner spreading money around like confetti, and another 20%. So straight away that's gone up 40%. So someone that would have been, you know, I don't know, 100 million, and all of a sudden they're 140 million. Someone who might have been 40 million and now 70 million. Yeah, so
yeah,
on it goes, and I can't see where they're reaping the rewards from it at either club.
Well, we've got the January window coming up now, so we'll see what madness happens there. Like I said from the outset, that we're never going to cover everything in this this episode here. We're into our last 5 minutes. We flirted with Chelsea, you and I, and everyone who watches knows we can fill episode after episode with you talking about Chelsea and what's right and what's wrong, etc. So we'll move away from them for now. VAR is another one we've spoke about it before. The Liverpool, just quickly, the Liverpool one. Have you seen it at all? Have you seen the penalty award for Liverpool against Newcastle? If you haven't, I suggest you watch it. Jota went down, and
I probably haven't. It's gone out my head because I've had so much going on. It's just been like a madhouse.
Like I said,
where it's just been like a complete madhouse, and work's been mad. I've been keeping bad hours. I've been bad dietary habits, and just like all I've been doing is working, eating, sleeping, going to family functions, and then eating and sleeping again. Yeah. So, which don't bode well for the subject matter. But it's we come out of it after this, Rob. We come out of it and we start fresh, and hopefully this is the first of many to come. You know what I mean? But it's yeah. I mean, what do you want me to say about VAR? I disagree with it from the off. I've been proved right, like a lot of other people, so it's not exclusive to me. I just said you've gone from the aspect of where you might have on occasion human error. It all adds to the colour and the excitement. And the passion and the talking points and the arguments about the game to now human error via a machine. What's the difference? They're still getting it wrong. You know what I mean? So you might as well leave it to the guy on the football field. And he's only human. He's gonna. And I never got involved with officials as a player or a coach or a manager. You just don't get involved with them. You know what I mean? They'll have great days, good days, off days, bad days. You know what I mean? Like the rest of us. So simple as that. That's where I stand on it. Maybe use it for just the one thing. It's just is it a goal as the ball crossed the line?
I was going to say we can fill a whole episode. One quick thing I do want to squeeze in. We've got a couple of minutes to go because someone on YouTube asked this question a little while ago, and obviously we've had a little break. I said I'd try and squeeze it in. What memories have you got, if any, Euro 2004? And Greece winning the tournament, obviously a country that's quite close to your heart.
Well, not really. No, my wife's Greek Cypriot. She's Cypriot. Yeah, no, but I get what you mean. No, the Greeks, without straying too far into politics, there ain't a lot of love lost there because there was a thing called enosis, which means united. Let them down. It was meant to merge with them and protect them. And but anyway, fond memories. Late appointment. I think it was a late appointment or sort of semi-late. I'm not sure whether he taken them all the way through qualification or he came in towards the end of qualification or came in after they were qualified. What I do remember is they were very well organised, highly motivated and determined, and it shows and highlights for me what a so-called supposedly lesser group of players can do against a more established, more fancied, more high-profile group of players if you've put your mind to the task and you're professional and you're organised and fit and motivated. And I thought it was fantastic and it was refreshing.
Yeah, I think he was quite an old-school German. I think he managed him, if I remember correctly, but
One of the Dutch guys. I thought it was the Dutch guys who came to Chelsea for a little while. I thought it was the Dutch guys.
Could have been. We'll have to check. We'll have to check that out. Yeah. In the meantime, we are down about the last 20 seconds. So thank you for tuning in. We will try and do some more. Happy New Year to everyone who watches. Hope everyone's had a good Christmas. Thank you very much from me.
Yeah, thanks for watching, those that do, and a very once again very happy, healthy New Year. And there'll be a lot more to come because schedule's a lot looser. So, and thanks for your time again, Rob, for pitching the questions.
Good night, John.
Cheers, mate. God bless.